Discover timeless principles for success, growth, and change. Let these powerful words from Dr. Myles Munroe guide you into purpose, vision, and transformation. This is more than a message, it's a journey for your life.
God never promotes by accident. In the kingdom, elevation is not random, and influence is not a reward for ambition. It's the result of passing private tests. Every calling is qualified not by charisma, but by crucifixion. Before God puts anything on your head, He puts something on your back. Before you wear the crown of visibility, you must first carry the cross of responsibility. This is not a punishment, this is a proving ground. It is in the private battles, the ones no one claps for, the ones no one sees, where God determines whether you're ready for what you're praying for. Too many people want the platform but reject the process. They want the microphone but resist the weight that must be carried before it. But heaven doesn't hand out microphones without measuring shoulders. You don't just inherit influence, you must prove that you can steward it. This is why God tests you in private, not to harm you, but to measure your maturity. He's not looking at your potential, He's weighing your posture, and your posture is best revealed under pressure. Testing is not for God to find out who you are. He already knows. Testing is for you to discover who you are becoming. It's easy to think you're strong when nothing is required of you. It's easy to think you have faith when there's no opposition, but real authority is forged in resistance. God will allow challenges that offend your pride, situations that reveal your motives, delays that expose your patience, not because He's cruel, because He's wise. He knows what you're asking for, and He knows what it takes to carry it. His testing is always preparation. Look at Joseph. He had a dream that was undeniably from God, a dream of rulership, of greatness, of being elevated to a place of power. But what followed was not applause. It was betrayal, slavery, false accusation, and prison. For 13 years, Joseph passed one test after another. The test of integrity, the test of loyalty, the test of restraint. Could he stay faithful in the house of Potiphar? Could he keep his heart pure in the face of seduction? Could he hold on to his vision while wearing prison clothes? Joseph didn't receive the crown until he passed the cross of waiting, the cross of injustice, the cross of being forgotten. And when the moment finally came to interpret Pharaoh's dream and stand before the king, he didn't use it to glorify himself. He said, "It is not in me, but God will give Pharaoh the answer." That is what heaven waits for. Not just skill, but surrender. Not just knowledge, but character. The weight of purpose is heavy, and if you're not trained to carry it, it will crush you. That's why God doesn't give it to you all at once. He stretches you gradually. He adds weight in secret seasons. He'll give you small assignments to see how you manage them. How do you treat people who can't benefit you? How do you behave when no one is watching? Can you obey even when it costs you your reputation? These are the tests that qualify you for destiny. Not the tests in front of crowds, but the ones in quiet corners. Not the ones with certificates, but the ones with scars. Before David became king, he had the chance to kill Saul, the man hunting him down, and take the throne by force. But David passed the test. He said, "I will not touch the Lord's anointed." That wasn't a political decision, a private test passed in the shadows that qualified him to reign in the light. Even Jesus was not exempt from private testing. Before he preached a single sermon or performed a single miracle, the Spirit led him into the wilderness to be tested. 40 days of fasting, 40 days of silence, 40 days of spiritual warfare. And when Satan tempted him to prove himself, to use power for self-promotion, to bypass the process, Jesus responded with the word, not emotion. That's how you know someone is qualified. They don't perform for validation, they obey for purpose. Testing seasons are sacred seasons. They separate those who want attention from those who want assignment. They separate performers from carriers, entertainers from intercessors, opportunists from servants. And God will always qualify you in a place when nothing around you looks like what He promised. That's the test. Can you believe the vision when the environment contradicts it? Sometimes the test looks like isolation. Sometimes it looks like being misunderstood, underappreciated, or even mistreated. But in every test, God is not only watching your behavior, He's watching your heart. Are you becoming bitter or better? Are you leaning into pride or into prayer? Are you seeking vengeance or surrendering the outcome? You can preach well and still fail the test. You can be popular and still not be promoted in heaven's eyes. Because the test is not about performance. It's about posture. Can you still say yes when the doors don't open? Can you still serve when the spotlight passes over you? Can you still be holy when compromise seems convenient? The test is not glamorous, it's not impressive, but it is necessary. God uses private testing to build unshakable foundations. He is more interested in the vessel than the visibility. Because if the vessel is pure, the oil will flow. But if the vessel is cracked by ego, pride, or entitlement, the oil will leak. And what was meant to bless others will become a burden to you. Before the mic, there must be the weight. Before the glory, there must be the grinding. Before the reward, there must be the refining. God is not just trying to get you ready for the stage. He's trying to get you ready for eternity, because heaven's qualifications are not based on appearance. In the kingdom of God, nothing is random, not your calling, and certainly not your testing. The test you face is not by accident. It is not an interruption to your destiny. It is an essential part of it. You don't get to pick your trials, your wildernesses, or your breaking points. They are divinely designed, strategically arranged, and perfectly crafted for what you were born to carry. Your test is not generic, it is customized. Heaven doesn't send mass-produced trials. It sends handcrafted, tailor-made examinations that match the weight of your purpose. When God calls a person, He doesn't just hand out instructions. He initiates preparation. And that preparation often looks like pressure. The fire that is required to purify gold is different from the heat required to refine clay. In the same way, the process required to prepare you will not look like anyone else's. That's why comparison is dangerous. You cannot compare your test with someone else's timeline, someone else's blessing, or someone else's struggle. What God is doing in you is specific. What He's building in you is unique. You don't get to vote on the wilderness. You don't get to schedule your breaking point. It chooses you, and when it shows up, it often comes wrapped in contradiction. You are praying for clarity, but God sends confusion. You ask for strength, and He allows weakness. You want favor, and He lets rejection enter the room. Why? Because the test is not about comfort, it's about capacity. God is increasing your capacity to carry the calling. And the only way to do that is to stretch you beyond your preference. Think about Abraham. He didn't apply for the test to sacrifice his son. He didn't wake up saying, Lord, today I'd like a crisis of faith. But the test chose him. It chose him because of what he carried. God had already promised that Abraham would be the father of nations. But before Abraham could walk in the fullness of that covenant, he had to prove that the promise wasn't more important to him than the one who gave it. That test was not random. It was specific. It was God asking, can I trust you with blessing without losing you to it? The test doesn't come to destroy you, it comes to reveal you. It comes to expose both your strength and your weaknesses, not to shame you, but to shape you. And God is a master architect. He knows exactly what needs to be shaken before you step into authority. He knows the roots that must be severed, the attitudes that must be corrected, and the dependencies that must be broken. And the only way to extract those things is to let the test speak louder than the comfort. When you look at the people God uses mightily, you'll notice that their lives are marked not just by miracles, but by moments of divine testing. Job did not choose his test. He didn't volunteer for loss, for grief, or for pain, but the test chose him because heaven had already chosen him. Have you considered my servant Job? God asked the accuser. That was not a punishment. That was a testimony. God trusted Job with suffering not because he wanted to hurt him, but because he knew Job could handle what others couldn't. The test is often a compliment in disguise. And here's the mystery of kingdom testing. The deeper the calling, the darker the testing. The greater the assignment, the heavier the examination. Elijah called down fire from heaven, but first he had to be fed by ravens in isolation. Paul shook nations with his letters, but first he was struck blind on the road to Damascus and sent into obscurity. Even Jesus, before healing the sick and raising the dead, had to go through the test in the wilderness, a test that matched the depth of his divine mission. This is why you cannot pray away the test. You can't fast it away. You can't rebuke what God sent to refine you. The test is not the enemy. The test is the trainer. And it trains you with precision. It touches the very places you'd rather avoid. Your pride, your fear, your control, your doubt. Because God isn't just testing your knowledge. He's testing your posture. He's testing your ability to surrender when things don't make sense, to worship when the breakthrough hasn't come, to obey when it costs more than you thought it would. Sometimes we pray, Lord, use me. But we don't realize that before God uses you, He examines you. And He doesn't do it based on your convenience. He does it based on your calling. You may be crying under the weight of the test, but heaven is watching with purpose. What you are enduring now is not wasted. It's measured, it's precise, it's ordained. God didn't pick this test because it's easy. He picked it because it's necessary. You didn't choose your storm. You didn't choose the season you're in. But heaven chose you for it. Not to crush you, but to carve you. Not to torment you, but to train you. Every tear, every silence, every delay is working together for the fulfillment of your purpose. And when you emerge, you won't just have a testimony. You'll have authority. Because no one carries power without passing through process. The test you're facing is not in the way, it is the way. The hand of God does not press down to destroy, it presses down to shape. In the kingdom, testing is never for annihilation, it's for activation. The fire you feel is not a funeral, it's a forge. You're not being buried, you're being planted. The test you are facing is not evidence of God's absence, but proof of His investment. If God is testing you, it means He sees something in you worth developing. He doesn't waste pressure on people with no potential. The test is a tool. It's heaven's way of stretching what you didn't even know you carried. Many mistake the crushing season for divine rejection, when it's actually divine construction. God is not trying to break your spirit, He's trying to build your spine. He's building your endurance, your discernment, your dependence. And yes, it hurts. But pain in the process doesn't mean something's wrong, it means something's growing. The caterpillar doesn't become a butterfly in the comfort of stillness, it must push, press, and wrestle through the cocoon. That struggle is the very thing that gives it wings strong enough to fly. When God begins to prepare a vessel for purpose, He always starts with the internal. You want external results, blessings, promotion, breakthrough. But God is after internal structure, stability, humility, resilience. You pray for open doors, but God focuses on strong foundations. Why? Because a weak foundation under a great calling is a setup for collapse. So He tests you, not because He's angry, but because He's anchoring you. It's in the pressure that you find out what's real in you. Pressure doesn't invent weakness. It reveals it. It shows you the cracks in your trust, the limits of your faith, the noise in your motives. And God doesn't expose it to shame you. He exposes it to heal you, to strengthen what remains, to reinforce what's worth keeping. When gold goes through the fire, the impurities rise to the surface. That's what pressure does. It separates what is pure from what is false. And the goal is not to harm the gold. The goal is to purify it so that it can carry greater value. The test then becomes sacred, not something to run from, but something to walk through with awareness. This is not chaos, this is calibration. God is measuring your integrity, not for a moment of applause, but for a life of assignment. He's asking, can you carry what I'm about to pour out? Can you still obey when it costs more than you expected? Can you still trust me when the map goes blank? These are the questions the test answers. Look at Peter, bold, passionate, loyal. But Jesus told him plainly, Satan has asked to sift you like wheat. But I have prayed for you that your faith may not fail. Why? Because Peter's future wasn't just about following, it was about leading. He was going to be a pillar in the early church. But before he could preach at Pentecost, he had to be sifted in private. His confidence had to be crushed. His pride had to be confronted. And when he failed, when he denied Jesus 3 times, it wasn't the end. It was the beginning. That failure became the foundation of a new kind of faith. Not arrogant, but anchored. This is why we must learn to reinterpret the test. What looks like a breaking point is often a building point. You're not being pushed down, you're being pushed deeper. Deeper into prayer, deeper into dependence, deeper into identity. God will allow the pressure to dismantle what was built on ego so He can reconstruct you on truth. He will shut down doors you idolized so He can open doors that align with His plan. And yes, He will do it with precision, with purpose, and with love, even when it feels like loss. Consider the potter. When he sees a flaw in the vessel, he doesn't throw the clay away. He presses it back down, adds water, reshapes it. Not because it's worthless, but because it's worth refining. That pressure is not rejection, it's redemption. That reshaping is not punishment, it's preparation. And the longer the potter works the clay, the more valuable the vessel becomes. The pressure has a purpose, and it is always to bring you into the image He had in mind when He first chose you. Jesus Himself was not exempt from the press. In Gethsemane, which literally means olive pressed, He felt the full weight of His assignment. The pressure was so intense that He sweat drops of blood. But that crushing moment became the doorway to resurrection. Because in the kingdom, oil only flows from what has been pressed. Glory only follows what has been crushed. The test was never to destroy the Son. It was to release the power of the Spirit through Him. So if you're feeling the weight, if it feels like everything is pressing against you, lean in. The test is building you. It's carving something eternal into you. Your patience is growing. Your vision is sharpening. Your character is deepening. And when the pressure lifts, what emerges from that season will not be fragile. It will be unshakable. You'll speak with a different authority. You'll lead with a different grace. Not because of what you endured publicly, but because of what you pass through privately. The test is not the end. It's the evidence that God still sees more in you than you see in yourself. In the kingdom, God does not anoint your performance. He anoints your purity. Power in public means nothing if it's not rooted in obedience in private. The applause of people is shallow. The approval of God is weighty. And that weight, the substance, the presence, the anointing, only rests on those who have been refined in places no one sees. Heaven is not impressed by how loud your voice is on stage. It listens for the whispers of your surrender behind closed doors. Before God gives you influence, He checks for integrity. Before He allows you to carry power, He checks if you can carry purity. Because the spotlight is heavy, and if you don't have a consecrated character beneath it, it will expose you, not elevate you. Too many fall not because they didn't have talent, but because they didn't have purity. What you conquer in secret determines what you can carry in public. You can sing, preach, and build, but if you're not sanctified in private, your success will become your snare. This is why God will often delay your visibility, not because you're not called, but because He's making sure your heart won't corrupt the gift. Purity is not perfection, it's alignment. It's when your inner world matches what heaven wants to release through you. It's when your motives have been sifted, when your ego has been crucified, when your hunger is no longer for popularity but for presence. That kind of purity cannot be faked, it can't be borrowed. It has to be formed in stillness, in secrecy, and sometimes in silence. Think about David. Before he ever held a crown, he held a harp. And before he ever led Israel, he was alone with sheep. But it wasn't just shepherding skills God was watching, it was the purity of his pursuit. In the wilderness, David learned to worship with no audience. He learned to kill lions and bears when no one was clapping. He learned to seek God not for platform but for presence. So when he stood before Goliath, it wasn't just about the stone. It was about the secret victories no one knew about. That's what gave him public power, private purity. You can't rent holiness. You can't borrow character. You can't fake devotion. These things are forged in the fire of private choices. What you say yes to when no one's watching, that's what qualifies you. What you say no to when it costs you, that's what builds your authority. God watches how you handle your thoughts, your time, your temptations. He looks at how you steward your body, your relationships, your responsibilities, because these aren't just moral matters. They are spiritual gateways. Purity is not just about clean behavior. It's about clear access. Access to heaven's agenda, heaven's voice, and heaven's authority. Public gifting can open doors, but only private purity can sustain what's behind them. That's why many rise quickly, but fall just as fast. Their inner life couldn't carry the pressure of their outer life. They conquered stages, but not secret sin. They built ministries, but never built altars. They gained followers, but lost their soul. Because power without purity is dangerous. It becomes manipulative, it becomes performative, it becomes empty. And God loves you too much to let your talent outgrow your character. When God calls a person, He always begins by cleaning the vessel. He refines, He convicts, He corrects. And it's not because He's harsh, it's because He's holy. He won't pour oil into a vessel that's leaking through compromise. He won't release favor if it will feed your flesh. He won't elevate you if it will inflate your ego. So He deals with you deeply, painfully, precisely. He exposes the pride, the lust, the ambition, the bitterness, not to condemn you, but to purify you. Because what you conquer in secret determines what you can carry in public. Even Jesus taught this principle by example. Before He ever preached to crowds, He withdrew to lonely places. Before he performed miracles, he fasted and prayed. He lived with such intentional purity that when he spoke, demons trembled, not just because of what he said, but because of who he was. His authority didn't come from a position, it came from purity. He had nothing to prove because he had nothing to hide. He didn't just visit the Father in crisis, he lived in communion with him. And that's the model. That's the standard. So if you feel hidden, overlooked, or delayed, ask yourself this: what is God purifying in me? What is he correcting so he can protect me later? Don't despise the season of cleansing. Don't rush past the wilderness. It's not punishment, it's preparation. It's God saying, I'm building something that can last. He doesn't just want you to rise, he wants you to remain. And you can't remain in power if you haven't remained in purity. Every time you choose holiness over compromise, every time you choose prayer over performance, every time you choose the secret place over the spotlight, you're building spiritual weight. You're being trusted. You're being shaped. And one day, when God puts you on display, the power you carry won't come from your resume. It will come from your righteousness. Not perfection, but purity. Not image, but identity. And that is what sustains revival. That is what changes lives. Not just a gifted voice, but a clean vessel. In the kingdom of God, there are no shortcuts to destiny. You cannot microwave what heaven intends to marinate. The process is not a delay, it is a divine design. It is where God forges the strength to hold what he has promised. To try and bypass the process is to self-destruct. It is to grab the crown without enduring the cross. It is to desire the outcome without being molded by obedience. And God, in his mercy, will not bless you with something that will break you. He is too wise to allow you to walk into a promise that your character cannot sustain. The promise of God is like a weapon, powerful, precise, dangerous in the wrong hands. It can set captives free or wound innocent people if mishandled. And just like no good soldier would place a loaded gun into the hands of an untrained recruit, God will not release kingdom authority to someone who has not been trained by the process. A weapon is only useful when the one holding it has been disciplined, taught, and tested. Without that, it becomes reckless potential. And reckless potential always leads to ruin. This is why the wilderness exists. It is not a detour, it is a classroom. It is not where purpose goes to die, it is where purpose goes to mature. In the wilderness, God teaches you to trust when you can't trace him, to obey when you don't understand, to serve when no one applauds. These are not random struggles, they are surgical lessons. And if you try to escape that school, if you cheat the curriculum of character, you'll arrive at a destination you were never designed to enter. Consider Moses, called to be a deliverer, raised in royalty, exposed to power. But when he tried to operate in that calling prematurely, he killed an Egyptian and ran into hiding. Why? Because he had zeal but no wisdom. He had a burden but no brokenness. So God hid him in the backside of the desert for 40 years. Not because the promise was cancelled, but because the man needed to be processed. It's only after the wilderness that Moses could stand before Pharaoh, not with a sword of flesh, but with the rod of God. And that rod didn't just represent power, it represented processed authority. When you try to shortcut God's training, you disqualify yourself from stewarding the very thing you're praying for. Because power in immature hands produces pride, and pride always precedes the fall. What God wants to build through you requires depth, not just visibility. He is more concerned about who you're becoming than where you're going. The process strips you of self so the promise doesn't become an idol. It crushes the parts of you that will compete with God once you reach the platform. The goal is not just to reach the promise, it's to arrive with clean hands and a pure heart. Joseph had dreams as a teenager, But he didn't step into those dreams immediately. He was thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, falsely accused, imprisoned, and forgotten. Yet every season was a chapter in God's process. In Potiphar's house, Joseph learned to manage what didn't belong to him. In prison, he learned to interpret what others were going through. And by the time Pharaoh called him up, Joseph didn't just have a dream, he had discipline. He didn't just have vision, he had virtue. The process didn't steal the promise. It prepared him to carry it with grace. This is why spiritual growth is not optional. You cannot carry a prophetic destiny with a carnal mind. You can't handle eternal assignments with emotional instability. You must let God prune you, correct you, stretch you. You must let Him deal with your jealousy, your insecurity, your fear of man, your addiction to applause. These are not petty issues. They are leaks in your vessel. And God, as the master potter, will keep putting you back on the wheel until you are formed to hold the glory He's about to release. Some want platforms without prayer lives, influence without intercession, visibility without vision. But God doesn't operate like man. He looks for stability before He hands out strategy. He looks for purity before He entrusts power. If you're still obsessed with position, you're not ready for purpose. If you still get offended every time you're overlooked, you're not ready to lead. If you still need everyone to recognize you, then you're not dead enough to yourself to carry resurrection life. The process exposes these things, not to embarrass you, but to free you. When God seems to delay the promise, He's not punishing you, He's protecting you. Because an unprocessed promise is a burden. A blessing out of season is a curse in disguise. If God handed you everything you asked for today, would your soul be able to handle it tomorrow? Would your mind be able to steward it? Would your heart remain pure when the influence multiplies? These are the questions the process answers. God's timing is not just about when, it's about who. He's not just preparing the moment, He's preparing the man. He's preparing the woman. And when you skip that process, you sabotage the very promise you were called to fulfill. Destiny demands durability, and durability is forged through discipline, not desire. So stay on the altar. Stay in the quiet place. Let God finish what He started in you. Don't force open doors. Don't manipulate your way to the top. Don't settle for shortcuts. Trust the fire. Embrace the shaping. Because when the process is complete, you won't just walk into the promise. You'll be able to carry it, sustain it, and multiply it for the glory of God. So I say to you, don't curse your process. Don't abandon your assignment just because it doesn't look like your anointing yet. Don't walk away from the testing ground. It is sacred soil. Heaven does not measure greatness by how high you climb, but by how deep your roots go. Your private obedience is speaking louder in eternity than your public performance ever will. God is not in a hurry to make you famous. He is committed to making you faithful. Because if He can find a man who is pure in the dark, He will give him influence in the light. If He can trust a woman to worship when no one sees, He will trust her to lead when everyone is watching. The real platform is not the stage, it is the secret place. And the true promotion is not applause, it is alignment. So endure the breaking, embrace the silence, pass the test. Because when the time comes, when heaven sounds the trumpet over your life, no devil, no delay, no system, no man will be able to stop what God has refined, anointed, and appointed. When He says it's your season, even obscurity will bow to destiny. You are not being buried, you are being planted. And when the process is done, you will not only carry the promise, you will become the promise.
We appreciate you joining us today. May the wisdom you've heard shape your vision, strengthen your faith, and lead you toward lasting success.